Hi there, folks. Um, Welcome. Today is the 12th of August 2026, and I'm in my new studio in the workshop in the bottom of the garden in Wales. So we got our focus performance tomorrow night, and I'm hoping to make some training kits, some focus training kits. So my son and I have been in a workshop making circles here, and I'm designing one of them, one of the training kits for a particular lady who likes bees. So I've been practicing drawing bees to put on the base, the who I am circle for her particularly. But I'm also hoping to make at least 4 for tomorrow. So hopefully people can come along to the focus performance, understand the 3 principles of focus just by being in this immersive experience, and then they can buy a book, or they can buy a training kit, or they could just come again next time the performance is on, and slowly we'll learn how to focus and how to connect to your real self again and begin to create a better life experience for yourself and eventually the world around us. So I'm just wanting to quickly pop in and say hello to you. Also, I have a few topics on my mind today, so I'm going to talk briefly about them. And the first topic I'd like to talk about is the advance of AI. Now, AI is interesting because people say it is a tool, and it can be used as a tool. But if we look at the general AI, that is not a tool, and it is also being designed to be more intelligent than us in every way. And when that happens, we're going to basically, human beings will have created something that's more intelligent than they are. So that's not a good move, I would say. I've been listening a lot to AI experts, mainly who are saying that we've got to be very careful. And I also am aware by listening to those guys that it is possible to have AI in the modern world, so long as it is used as a tool, and I'm going to explain the difference. Why am I even talking about this? Well, because I think that the focus show, the focus training kits, in fact, all the work I've done for over 30 years on understanding human nature, understanding how we operate, understanding actually what we are, and seeing that where we get our motivation, where we get our spark, our wanting to live every moment in this world, is actually from our real self. But also it can be, if we're not careful, very easily be turned and almost corrupted into what your mind is telling you, and your mind is a different kettle of fish, and your mind starts to look for other things other than contentment with being who you are, and instead your mind starts to look at things like how other people see you, how good you are at your job, how much money you have. So you can kind of get taken away from your real self and be plugged into your mind. And of course, what's happened in the last 5-10 years, you can also then even get more far away from your real self by then getting attached over here to the virtual world, and this is the AI world. So the reason that I think this is really important, and that why I'm speaking about it, is because if you understand your true nature, how you operate and how to focus, you will be consciously able to enjoy the fruits of the modern world, but at the same time as not being sucked in by it. You can stay in control of your life experience. You can stay in control of how you experience life, of how you work, of how you feel, of how you want to bring up your children, of how you want to relate to the world, if you are consciously aware of how you operate and what the 3 principles are, because it's all about initially how you focus. And this is why I've created the Focus Show, because you can learn all that in 25 minutes, because it's an experience. All right? So please come and see a show, or please buy the ebook, links below, if you want to stay human and stay in control of your life experience within this AI situation. So I'm just going to say a little bit about AI. I'm not an expert. There's lots of people out there who are fantastic at knowing what AI is about. So I'm going to give you a brief summary. So there's one type of AI which is general AI, okay? And this general AI are the things that you have probably been using at home, like ChatGPT, all those things, okay? They have been programmed to connect to you. Now, I personally think this is very, very dangerous, but I'm not really talking about my opinion. I just want to tell you what I think is useful for you to know. Because of how our brains work, if we don't use our brain, a bit like we don't use our muscle, we won't actually bother to use it because we don't need to use it. And we're trained by nature to be efficient. So if it's easier for me to not run 10 miles and catch a cow to cook it, if it's easier for me to go to Tesco's, I'll probably go to Tesco's because I will save energy. Possibly a bad example, but that's how we've been trained to work. We've been trained to take the easiest route, basically. Not necessarily the best route, the easiest route, because as I talk about in my work, I've examined human energy, the human energy, and I don't really know anyone else who has actually done that. So I look at human energy, and there's 3 different ways we find our energy, and we need our energy, you could call it motivation, to get through every minute of every day, because we're living in a time construct. And our brains, our actual whole being has been primed to take the easiest way. Okay? And if something is easy, our brain will forget how to do it. As in, if I can find something easy, I won't learn how to do it in the hard way. A better example probably is writing. So if I write a letter, I remember how to write because I'm writing. But if I suddenly realize, oh, I could just text my mate and not write them a letter, and I get a response, I'll probably start to text my friend to get a response because it's easier energetically and time-wise to do that rather than write them a letter. Okay? However, writing a letter gives me lots of skills. It makes me concentrate for a longer period of time. It allows me to express myself better, etc., etc. And it's real, it takes time, and you are actually doing it. You're actually writing it, and then you're putting it in an envelope, and you're putting a stamp on it, and you're sending it. Whereas if I just text, it's just da-da-da-da-da, bang. I haven't put much effort into it. Now, this is so important. If you don't put much effort into something, you don't normally retain that memory. You remember things normally through what I call your real you. Normally this is by an action, this is by a feeling, this is by an experience, this is by something tangible. And the longer and the bigger that real world experience is, the more you will remember it. Whereas if you're just texting, it's quick, it's not really a long experience, and it doesn't take much effort. So you just text, off it goes. There's no real world consequence as such in that moment. If I'm writing a letter, the real world consequence is my hand might get tired. The paper gets full up. I have to fold the paper. I have to find the envelope. If I'm just texting, I'm just moving my thumb. So there's not a lot of things for that information to hang on to, so it goes into my brain. So it's not very good for deep learning. So it's not good for deep learning, and because we're not deeply using our brain with actions like writing or creating music or even going for a walk, because we're not doing that, parts of our brain actually get wasted away because they're not being used. And once they're not being used, they don't work very well. So park that. So if we're using AI, the chatbots, etc., to do stuff for us that we would do normally with effort and a real world action, beware, because we're losing our skills. Another really good example is map reading. Most people now use a sat nav. They don't know east, west, north, south. They don't know where they are because they ask the sat nav. So they lose all their ability to compute and work out where are they. I mean, go back to cavemen, they knew how to use the stars, use the sun to, I mean, we've already lost those skills. We've already lost lots of old skills because we use cars now. We use signposts now. We don't go out and think, oh, well, get my stick so I can work out where the shadow is from the sun so I can find out north. We don't do that anymore. We use a map in a car, but we don't even use that anymore. We just use a sat nav, and that sat nav just tells us where to go. So we are losing our spatial awareness of where we are. That's another example. So it's making our brains lazy. It's making us put less effort into stuff. So over time we will become more stupid, quite frankly. All right. So back to the general AI. So there's general AI which can do things for us. So be careful. Be careful. Be careful what you ask them to do, and be careful how you use it, because you don't want to lose your skills. Okay, that's a point. Another point which is on top of that point is that as the general AI gets more and more powerful, not only is there huge environmental effects, and I will leave other experts to talk about that because I'm not an expert on all this, okay? I'm just talking about it from a human energy point of view, which is what I do. We will basically become very, very unable to do stuff, and we will become also at the same time very mind orientated, because we connect to that through the mind, and the mind, anything you connect to through the mind is addictive, okay, and it's fundamentally disempowering. And I talk all about that in my book, The Energy Dynamic Model, and the online academy energy dynamic model. So I'm not going to talk about that now, but take my word for it, the more mind you are in, the less you are gathering up good feelings, being your real self, feeling strong, because you're doing it through your mind. You're being passive and you're looking outside for other things to do things for you, okay? Now, if and when this AI becomes more intelligent than us, we've got a problem. Again, other people can talk about that. But what I want to say is that rather than worrying about this, I mean, it would be helpful if you could, for example, stop using general AI and start to make sure that you've still got the skills you've got now before we lose even more skills. And one of them, I'm sure you'll notice, is the ability to concentrate. A lot of people can't concentrate anymore. They can't read a book anymore, and they scroll all the time. And this is because their brain has got used to, again, remember what I said, that's easy. It's easy to think, oh, look at this, oh, look at that, oh my goodness, drama, emotion, oh my goodness. So your brain gets very wired to that, and it wants more and more and more because it's easy, and it gives you an emotional hit, which fundamentally is energy. It's also energy, a different type of energy. If I do a press up, that's called a feel energy, because I'm doing a press up in the real world. That's strong energy, but it's very quiet. Your mind energy, when you're scrolling, is very intense, it's very sparky, it's very drama, and your brain loves it because it's easy. In the Energy Dynamic book, I talk about the mind energy is like a fire. If there's a fire in the forest, you go towards it, you dance around the fire, it's great. In the forest, if there's a pond of water, although that will beat fire, water will put out fire, you won't notice it. because you're looking at the fire. But you could go to the pond, you could go to the water, and you could sit by the water and you could get nurtured by that water and look in the water, and what do you see? You see a reflection of yourself. Whereas if you're in the fire, if you're in the mind emotion, what you see, and think about this because it's very interesting, if it's dark, what do you see? Do you see what the people are like? No, you don't. You see their silhouette. You connect to them through the drama, but you see the silhouette, you don't see who they are. But all this again, sorry, I'm going off topic, but this is all in the book, and it's all very interesting, and that's the nature of two sorts of energies. There is a third one, which is the spiritual sort of energy, and I compare that to air. But anyway, back to AI. So the AI scrolling is lots and lots of fire energy, basically. Fire energy, fire energy, fire energy. So if you're doing that for 3 or 4 hours, which most people are doing, or living life through a computer, which most people are doing, or gaming, which most people are doing, your brain thinks, oh, this is really easy, and focuses on it. But over time, that fire burns what I call your stick real self, because you're not nurturing it. You're not using your real self to connect to the world around you, which gives you good feels. So with general AI, try not to use it. Also, I would recommend you buying the Focus ebook or come to a show, because what that will show you is how to retain and connect to your real self whilst being in this AI world. So you kind of can have your cake and eat it to a degree. To a degree. What will be great is if there's something happens so we cannot carry on continuing with expanding this general AI. And there are a couple of, as I said, the tech bro people who are wanting to stop it, because, as I said, it's quite foolish to want to create something that's more powerful than you. I mean, it's actually very stupid. So hopefully humanity isn't that stupid. And I think some of them are saying, hey, can we just not do this? What can we do, though, this is the tech bro types, is let's make things with AI that are trained to just do one thing. So maybe they're trained to do surgery on the eye. So they get brilliant at surgery on the eye, but that's all. Maybe we can do AI so it's brilliant at, I don't know, I can't think of an example. But basically these AIs are separate. They specialize in one thing. And that I can see how that could be good. Because that could mean that we can spend our time doing other things. This is looking at the plus side of AI, which I do personally find quite difficult. But say we don't have general AI, say we have these narrow AIs and they're trained to do very specific things. Let's say maybe, I don't really agree with you with this, but this is an example. You can get a machine lawnmower thing where you put the lawnmower in your garden and it mows the lawn endlessly. I don't really agree with that, but that's just an example. So instead of mowing the lawn, I could be doing something that's in line with my real self. Not scrolling, but something in line with my real self that's going to grow me as a human being, that's going to make me more powerful as a human being, so I can start to reach my full potential, start to connect to who I am, start to discover who I am, so my mind calms down, and I can start to create a better experience for myself and everyone else around me, because I can. Because I know how, because I've understood how to focus, and this is what I'm training people to do. So I urge you, if you want to keep your sanity, for want of a better word, with this general AI, come off it a bit and actually start to refocus on your true self. And or if you want to say, okay, I can use the AI in a very, very narrow tasks that save me time. I'm not going to become drawn into it through the mind energy fire experience I get. I'm going to be very consciously aware of what I'm doing. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to refocus, and I'm going to look at myself, and I'm going to do my talents. I'm going to connect to people through my feelings, and I'm going to again, I've got to do another video after this all about community development and political activism. I'm going to use my time and my strengths and my abilities in a good real world way that advances humanity, that makes me thrive. And I think this is really, to be honest, the only way forward, really, because otherwise everything's chaos, terror, fear, pandemonium out there, wars, temperatures, all sorts. And we don't want all that. We don't want to be focusing all that. We need to acknowledge it's there, but really we need to understand that we actually are powerful beings, so we don't have to be at home worrying about everything, thinking we can't do anything because we're trapped in this rat race and addicted to AI and can't do anything because we've forgotten. So focus is the first step to reconnecting and rediscovering of who you are. And then, as I said, there's other steps that you can do if you like. As I said, I've got shows coming on. I want to tour them all over the UK. They are free. They are free because I want you to come along and I want you to experience it. And I want you to really realize where you are and what you've got. And I've been doing this I've done about 4 performances so far, very dress rehearsal, very small audiences, but 2 people already who come to see it have both said to me afterwards, after a couple of weeks, guess what, I've stopped scrolling. And that's just by watching the show. And then I've got a book that you can do a bit more work with. I've got a training kit that me and my son handmade with love to keep you focused, so you can start to read the room. You can start to read the situation you're in, and you can start to say, actually, I'm not sure about that. This is what I can do differently. And it gives you a measurement and a way of understanding how you can be. And that releases you from your mind trap. All right? And then I've got deep courses, which is more, well, it's deeper, more esoteric, which you're welcome to do. And this is all affordable. The show is free. The book is £15. I also have certificates that you can do tests once you've seen the show. This will be great team building. That's £35 a person. That's all. The courses, online courses, are between £10 and £30. So, you know, this isn't expensive. This is not expensive. You can do it. You must do it, because you must be so careful today about keeping yourself there and not disconnecting to yourself and going in your mind and having stress and drama and then going over here with the AI. And honestly, some people are actually jumping into the AI. They're actually connecting to the AI so much, like, you know, the AI boyfriend, girlfriend scenarios. I mean, honestly, I'll probably do another video about that another day. But it's almost like we've been sucked dry and we're giving our energy and our information to this AI. We don't want to be doing that. We want to be able to have human relationships. And yes, they're difficult, they're messy, they're emotional. I don't like them much. You know, I don't like them much. But that's what we are, we're human beings. And because every human being is becoming less and less able, because they're more and more fearful, and they've been overwhelmed by all this information from the internet, information, and we're missing the information that's under our nose, which is how we work as human beings. We can go back and we can remember that information. We can start to use that information, and we can start working on thriving, and then using these tools just to make life a bit easier. I mean, we're lucky. We're lucky. The world we live in today, compared to, I don't know, 500 years ago, we can live better. But are we? No, we're not, because we're getting completely distracted from our humanness and turning into some sort of, like, I don't know, puppet that's been played on all these strings, and we're forgetting who we are, and we're just being used as, I don't know what we're being used. Let's not even go there. I don't know what's going on, but I do know that the energy we can create by being real human beings, getting things from the real world, connecting in the real world, that's what makes us thrive. And that's what makes us connect to ourselves. It's what makes us connect to each other, and it makes you connect. It can, if you're anyway spiritual, you can connect through that to the divine. If you're not like that, and I'm not like that really, then you just feel very good. You feel great. You feel you have meaning, you have purpose, and you can do it, and you can be, and you can think, yeah, this is okay, this moment is great, you know. I'm in the love vibe, even though it's difficult, because I care. By caring, you feel better. But that's all being washed away and disappeared by all this separation, information, mind, scroll, chaos, havoc everywhere, and we're all up here. So let's not be like that. Learn how to focus, come to a show, buy the ebook, message me. I'm quite happy to have a chat. Take the online courses. Learn how to focus. Learn how to teach your children how to focus. These focus training kits are brilliant. You can teach yourself to do it. You can teach your children to do it. I'd like it to be in schools. I'd like it to be in youth clubs. I'd like it to be with support workers, social workers, people with mental health problems, coaches, therapists. Use these. It's easy. It's easy. You don't have to have a massive mental health crisis. You don't have to have it. I was talking to my friend the other day, and I said one reason why you're fed up is because you're not doing anything that's good for you. And people aren't. They're not doing anything that's good for them. They think they are because they think they should. But if it's up here coming from the mind vibe, the mind energetic way, it's all separation. So you do that to do that to do that to do that, and you end up exhausted. Whereas if you do things when it's all one, it flows. It flows. And that's because you're attached to yourself. It's because you're attached to yourself. You're looking in a deep pool, seeing yourself reflect and doing stuff because you can, because you are. Rather than rushing around doing things because you should, because it's a hack, because you haven't got enough time and you're rushing around trying to earn money, etc., scrolling. There's a difference. Anyway, thank you for listening. I'm going to try and do these videos often in the workshop. Now I've got my video space, so that's fantastic. I've been waiting years to do that, and I'll keep you posted on how things are going. And if you're in Buryport, South Wales, tomorrow we've got a performance, 7:45 at the Jerusalem Chapel. We've got one more after that, the next 2 weeks, and then I'm going to launch it out in September more nationally. So still at dress rehearsal stage, still fine-tuning. But it's great fun. It's great fun. It's funny. It's me doing silly things, which is great. It's taken me a long time to be able to create content that's good enough so I can then be on stage and be silly. So that's what I love doing. That's just me. That's just how I am. No biggie. So thank you very much. My phone number is 0790382090. If you've got any questions about anything, come along to the Focus Show. Come along, get sorted. First step is learning how to focus. You can do it. Thank you very much.